What's up guys, it's been a while since I've set these up in my home theater, but now it's time to talk about the REL Predator 1508 subwoofers. Well, these are REL's top-of-the-line home theater-centric subs. They do make a handful of other models, but these are aimed more for the home theater market. They have a 10-inch, 12-inch, and a 15-inch model, which we have here today. Now, before we get these set up, let's go over the unboxing one more time in case you missed that video. Inside, we get the grill, some documentation, the power cord, 4 screws, and 2 metal couplers. The first thing you might notice is the top plate. It sits 6mm above the cabinet, but also extends 12mm into the cabinet. It's not only a design element, but it's also used to minimize cabinet resonances. And speaking of the cabinet, it's not the usual highly thought out finish you normally get with a REL sub. I believe they were trying to keep it at a relatively low price point and went with a vinyl wrap that goes all the way around the cabinet without any seams. It looks almost like brushed aluminum. I wouldn't say it screams premium, it just kinda says average, at least to me it does. Up front, you'll find the 15-inch driver that's made of a lightweight glass fiber, while the inner portion is carbon fiber. This makes it lightweight and very stiff. Around the back is the main power switch, AC input, RCA ins and outs, gain and crossover adjustments. There's a 0 to 180 degree phase switch, XLR ins and outs, and the auto power on-off toggle. On the bottom are stacking rails. If you want to stack 3 of these subwoofers on top of each other, you can. You join them together with the included metal couplers. The 1508 is a sealed design measuring only 19.7 inches wide by 18 inches high by 19.4 inches deep, and it weighs 79.4 pounds. It's rated down to 21 Hz and is powered by an 800 watt Class D amplifier, which is said to have peaks of up to 1400 watts. For a setup, I'll be pairing these with 11 Arendal sound speakers in a 7.2.4 channel arrangement. For source material, I'll be using 4K Blu-rays with a Zapiti 4K Pro media player and an Arcam AV40 processor. The AV40 supports up to 4 separate subwoofers using XLR connections. If you're familiar with REL subwoofers, you might notice the 1508s don't have high-level inputs. Since these are home theater focused, you'll only have to connect these to the LFE channel. Now, as a reference point, my daily subwoofers are a pair of SVS PB16s, and I have been testing a pair of SVS SB3000s. First off, the SVS SB3000s, for their size, are some of the hardest hitting subwoofers I've heard. So they're very tactile and have some great features. I'll have a review for those soon as well, so be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Now, the RELs having 15-inch drivers, you might think they'd more closely match the PB16s, since the drivers are only about an inch apart. 15 versus 16, but the PB16s are ported and have a much larger cabinet. I'd venture to say the 1508s are more like the 3000s. Another thing you might notice is the RELs don't have any kind of DSP or any kind of app control. I spoke with John, the head honcho at REL.
Hi, this is John Hunter of REL Acoustics.
And their reasoning for not going the digital crossover route was they felt their passive filters were much faster than anything digital. If you've ever heard a REL sub before, one of the main characteristics is how fast and tight their sound signature is. The 1508s being sealed, I was already expecting the sound to be fast, much like the sealed SVS SB3000s. Although having larger drivers compared to the 13s in the SVSs, the sound should be a little more sloppy or less refined, or so I think. For testing, I went to my go-to movie that just has some tremendous hard-hitting bass, Fury on 4K Blu-ray in Dolby Atmos. This movie has some decent low-end extension, but it's heavy in the mid-bass region that you'll not only hear, but feel pound on your body. If you listen to all the tank fire blast off, it should be fast and percussive, kind of like slapping your hand on the table. I'll be honest, after spending time with the PB16s and getting that grunt, which I thought was pretty hard-hitting, after moving to the SB3000s, I quickly realized how unarticulate the PB16s were. I'm not saying the 16s can't slam, I'm just saying the 3000s moved faster and handled these types of transients much better than the larger drivers in the 16s. Now, as for the RELs, I wasn't expecting the same speed and articulation I got with the smaller sealed SVSs. But let me tell you, I now know the reason why many audiophiles add REL subs to their 2-channel setups. These 15s were so much quicker than the smaller 13-inch drivers in the 3000s. I think they might be onto something here by not going the digital route. I've listened to Fury too many times to count, and I've never heard this movie sound this potent. The drivers just seem to start and stop so quick, which you'll feel with all the cannon fire in this movie. It's a hard, fast slap to the senses. The other subwoofers would linger a bit with these frequencies. The PB16s, they were noticeably sloppier and less reactive. Next up, I threw in The Joker on 4K Blu-ray. This film has an amazing musical score with brooding thunderous crescendos and some excellent undertones. The drums, the orchestra, the cello seemed more like a concert recording rather than a comic book movie. The quality of bass was more like an extension of my front speakers. The subs disappeared and the musical notes just floated around you. Next up is Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Now, where Fury has that hard-hitting slam, Godzilla digs deep in the lower octaves. Knowing how oddly musical these 15-inch subs are, I wasn't expecting the same level of output I was getting from the ported PB16s, and I got exactly what I expected. In the movie, there are scenes when Godzilla is walking or fighting or crashing into buildings that gives you that type of low-frequency energy that you feel move your furniture across the floor. The PB16s have got that type of output that can truly pressurize your listening space. The RELs, on the other hand, gave me a taste of those lower-end frequencies, but just can't dig quite low enough. They drop off where the larger 16s just kept going. And what kind of subwoofer video would this be if I didn't play the intro to Edge of Tomorrow? The first few seconds will make the PB16s chuff pretty hard, although there is still enough output where you can feel the hairs on your arms move. It's the type of bass that you feel rather than hear. With the 1508s, well, there's really nothing there. I couldn't hear anything in the lower registers, so infrasonics are a definite no-go with the RELs. If you've never heard the beginning of this movie with large subwoofers, then you might not even know what I'm talking about. For those interested, here's a measurement with one subwoofer, and here's one with two. You can see where it starts dropping off at 20 Hz, and this is with no room correction. Now, no subwoofer is perfect. There's a couple of things that bugged me about these subs. First off, aesthetically, I'm not sure why there's white lettering on the top of these things. In a blacked out home theater environment, you're gonna get light reflecting off the top, which could draw your attention straight to the subs. There's also a pretty bright power LED on the back that I can see in the dark. It's not a big deal because you can cover them up, but I think it's worth noting. I'm also not a fan of the vinyl wrap as opposed to paint, but I know they had to reach a certain price point and paint would have raised the price quite a bit, or so I'm told. Again, these things don't affect the performance, but I just wanted to speak on them. At the time of this video, the 1508s retail for $17.99. I know there's going to be a bunch of folks that are going to say for the same money or less, you can get subs that will dig a lot deeper. And yes, I do agree, but these subs are not about reaching into the lowest single digits or putting out high SPL. It's the quality of bass that immediately caught my attention. These are the most refined sounding home theater subwoofers I've heard to date. They're fast, reactive, can start and stop on a dime, and sound amazing with not just movies but equally with music as well. I mean, if these sound this good with music being home theater subwoofers, I can only imagine what their more pricier options sound like. Again, these aren't going to dig deep into the very lowest frequencies, so you might feel that extra low-end impact is missing with more aggressive movies. but for the majority of movie soundtracks down to about 20 Hz at my reference levels, I felt it's got enough bass to impress all except for maybe the most diehard bass junkies. And I can just about assure you those big behemoth subwoofers aren't going to compare to the type of articulate definition the 1508s can belt out. So that about wraps it up. What do you guys think about REL subwoofers? Have you heard the Predator series or any other series, and how do you think they compare to some of the other brands out there? Leave a comment down below and let us know. As always, thanks for watching. Be sure to give this video a like if you found it useful, and if you're not a subscriber, then tap that subscribe button, and we'll see you guys again in the next one.